Paul Mescal, the fantastic indie actor struggling to take the leap to blockbuster stardom but succeeding in restraint. What about him? From his breakthrough as an ordinary teenager whose silence said more than words, to a man remembering the father he once knew, and from a gladiator in the epic arenas of history to the intimate tragedies of a legendary artist. Let's get into it! Please help your favorite average movie guy get to 1,000 subscribers by subscribing right now. Strong career beginnings. Normal People 2020. After starring in Bump, Mescal already had his first major role with this show that didn't just mark the arrival of a new actor, it signaled the beginning of something rare in modern television. Adapted from Sally Rooney's novel, the series felt intimate, almost unbearably real. It captured the way people love, hurt and misunderstand each other, not through big moments but through quiet ones. Mescal played Connell Waldron, a young man at the heart of that stillness, who could barely articulate what he felt, yet every hesitation and half-finished sentence revealed something deep and aching. Connell wasn't a grand romantic hero, he was a boy learning, painfully, how to exist in the world and how to be known by someone else. Opposite him, Daisy Edgar Jones's Marianne Sheridan was sharp, wounded, and searching for the kind of love that would make her feel seen. Together, their connection unfolded like something both inevitable and doomed, an endless cycle of closeness and distance shaped by class, shame, and fear. What made the show so powerful was its honesty. It didn't rely on dramatic twists or exaggerated dialogue. The emotion lived in silence, in the pauses between words, in the looks that lasted just a little too long. For Mescal, Normal People became a defining moment. It earned him an Emmy nomination and a BAFTA win, international recognition, and a reputation for emotional transparency that would follow him throughout his career. But more importantly, it revealed the kind of actor he is, one who doesn't perform his feelings but lives inside them.
I think I felt a bit alienated.
The Deceived 2020. That same year, Mescal chose another smaller but also stranger and darker project, with this psychological thriller set in Northern Ireland. On the surface, it's about obsession and deceit, a young woman entangled in the secrets of a charismatic professor. But beneath that, it's a story about truth, how it can twist, and how people convince themselves of what they want to believe. Mescal played Sean McHugh, a builder and volunteer fireman in the town. It is a brief role compared to his central turn in Normal People, but it's telling. Sean is the moral center of a world built on lies, a grounded, empathetic man whose kindness carries quiet strength. As I said, it's a small performance, but one that deepens the show's emotional core. For Mescal, The Deceived wasn't about visibility or momentum, it was about staying connected to the work that felt human.
I'm sorry to hear that. Should we press on with the work? Or?
Yeah, of course.
The Lost Daughter 2021. The following year, Mescal took another unexpected turn. He joined an ensemble in a smaller role, but a role in a big feature film which said everything about how he approached his career. Directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal in her feature debut, the film is a study of motherhood, guilt, and identity. It follows a woman on holiday who becomes fascinated and quietly disturbed by another family she observes on the beach. Mescal plays Will, a friendly young pool attendant who brings an unexpected warmth to the film's tense atmosphere. He's obviously not the emotional center of the story, but he represents something vital within it. Youth, innocence, the illusion of simplicity that the older characters have long since lost. What stands out is how Mescal can communicate with so little. A look, a half smile, the way he listens. They all carry meaning. Even in a supporting role, he refuses to disappear. The film premiered to widespread acclaim, praised for its psychological depth and nuanced portrayal of motherhood, and the film also earned 3 Academy Award nominations. The Lost Daughter reinforced what his previous roles had already suggested. Mescal wasn't chasing stardom, he was chasing truth, and he was willing to find it in even the quietest corners of a story.
What you did yesterday was amazing.
God's Creatures 2022. The following year, Mescal had become known for performances that felt almost fragile in their honesty, and this project deepened that reputation. It's a film rooted in silence, guilt, and the heavy stillness of small-town life. Set in a remote Irish fishing village, it's a story about loyalty, the kind that protects but also destroys. Mescal plays Brian O'Hara, a young man who returns home after years abroad. At first, his arrival feels like hope, but beneath the surface, something darker begins to take shape. When Brian is accused of a serious crime, his mother's instinct to protect him collides with her growing sense of moral unease. What's striking is how little Mescal relies on dialogue. He acts through presence, through what's unsaid. Every gesture feels loaded, every smile uncertain. God's Creatures is one of those films that lingers long after it ends. It's not a story of redemption or justice, it's about simplicity and the quiet violence of silence.
Besides, it's the best thing in the world being back here.
His critical breakthrough. Aftersun 2022. That same year, this film confirmed Mescal's place among the very best of his generation. Set in the late 1990s, it follows a young father, Callum, on a summer holiday in Turkey with his 11-year-old daughter, Sophie. The story unfolds through fragmented memories, glimpses of happiness tinged with something unspoken. There's no grand plot or dramatic confrontation, instead the film captures the small, fleeting moments that define a relationship. Mescal's performance as Callum is extraordinary in its restraint. He plays a man who is loving, attentive, and quietly unraveling. It's a portrait of masculinity rarely seen on screen, one that balances tenderness with fragility, strength with self-doubt. What makes the film so powerful isn't what it shows, but what it leaves unspoken. Mescal captures that sense of loss with heartbreaking precision. He doesn't explain Callum, he simply exists in the contradictions that make him human. Critics recognized the film immediately. It premiered to near universal acclaim, with reviews calling it one of the most affecting debuts in years. It earned Mescal his first and only Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. The film became an art house success that found audiences worldwide through word of mouth and emotional resonance, grossing almost $9 million worldwide. In a career already defined by vulnerability, Aftersun took Paul Mescal's quiet emotionalism and turned it into something universal. It's the performance that turned admiration into awe.
No danger. I'm right-handed and I'm playing with a kid, right?
All of Us Strangers 2023. After starring in Carmen, the following year expectations for Mescal were impossibly high. But rather than retreating from that pressure, he stepped into a film that felt almost tailor-made for his sensibility. It follows a writer played by Andrew Scott who lives in near isolation until he meets his neighbor, Mescal's character Harry. What begins as a tentative connection slowly becomes something deeper, stranger, and achingly human. Mescal's performance is magnetic but never showy. Harry is spontaneous, charming, and filled with a kind of sadness that doesn't announce itself. He represents both the possibility of intimacy and the pain of impermanence. The chemistry between Mescal and Scott is remarkable. Their scenes together pulse with tenderness and fear. It's romantic but also deeply existential. For Mescal, it was another step deeper into the territory he's made his own. Stories about connection, memory, and the quiet weight of being alive. Critics praised the film's emotional precision and the vulnerability of its performances, while I felt it fell a little flat. It earned Mescal another BAFTA nomination, now for supporting actor. And it also became his biggest box office success to date, grossing over $20 million worldwide. All of Us Strangers is a film about love and loss, but also about the courage it takes to let yourself be seen. And once again, Mescal made that vulnerability feel like the most powerful thing in the world.
Don't scare you.
Foe 2023. That same year, Mescal also appeared in something far more experimental and divisive. A near-future psychological sci-fi drama that asks what it means to be human when even identity can be manufactured. Set in a desolate, climate-ravaged world, the film follows Junior and Han, a married couple living in isolation on a remote farm. Their uneasy routine is interrupted when a stranger arrives with a startling proposition. Junior will be sent to live on a space station while a robotic version of himself stays behind with Han. Mescal plays Junior, a man whose simple life begins to fracture under the weight of paranoia, jealousy, and existential fear. Opposite Saoirse Ronan, he delivers a performance that's both physical and internal. The film divided critics upon release. Some found its pacing and ambiguity frustrating, while others praised its ambition and performances. Yet even among the mixed reception, one thing was clear: Mescal's work was hardly in question. If some of his earlier roles were studies in quiet vulnerability, Foe was a portrait of suppressed fury and disorientation. It wasn't his most beloved project, but it proved something more valuable. That Mescal wasn't afraid to fail as long as he was searching for something honest.
We haven't even been on an airplane and she'd hate it.
I should clarify. I'm talking about you here, Junior.
Attempting blockbuster filmmaking. Gladiator II 2024. The following year, Mescal had already become one of the most respected actors of his generation, but this film marked a different kind of moment. It wasn't just another role, it was a leap into the scale and spectacle of mainstream cinema, the kind of project that can define a career in an entirely new way. Directed once again by Ridley Scott, the film arrived more than 2 decades after the original, one of the most iconic epics in modern history. Mescal took on the role of Lucius Verus Aurelius, the grown-up son of Lucilla, the boy who once watched Maximus' sacrifice from the stands. Now he's a man hardened by time, navigating power, vengeance, and legacy within the brutal politics of ancient Rome. For Mescal, it was his first true blockbuster, but even within a world of armies, emperors, and arenas, he refused to lose the intimacy that defined his earlier work. His Lucius isn't just a warrior, he's a man struggling to reconcile his ideals with the violence expected of him. In the midst of sweeping action sequences and fast sets, Mescal found room for stillness, for that quiet emotional precision that made audiences first fall in love with him. Critics praised its visual grandeur and moral complexity, with many highlighting Mescal's performance as the emotional core of the story. However, to me it was pretty clear that Mescal wasn't ready to lead a blockbuster film in this way yet. Commercially, the film was a triumph, grossing over $462 million worldwide, revitalizing the historical epic for a new generation and introducing Mescal to audiences far beyond the art house sphere. Gladiator II wasn't a departure from who Mescal was as an actor. It was an expansion, proof that his quiet intensity could fill not just a small screen or an art house frame, but also an entire coliseum.
My grandfather Marcus Aurelius talked of the dream that would be Rome.
Hamnet 2025. After starring in the history of sound, now we get to Mescal's latest project. A return home, not to Ireland, but to intimacy, poetry, and the kind of emotional precision that first defined his work. Set in 16th century England, the film reimagines the life of William Shakespeare through the story of his wife, Anne Hathaway, and their son Hamnet, whose death is believed to have inspired Hamlet. Directed by Chloe Zhao, the film isn't a traditional biopic, it's a meditation on love, grief, and artistic creation, on how loss can shape the stories we tell. Mescal plays Shakespeare not as a myth or genius, but as a husband and father, a man torn between his devotion to his family and his need to create. Opposite Jessie Buckley's Anne, he finds a rhythm that feels deeply lived in. Early reactions have called the film one of Mescal's most moving performances. The film has already generated awards buzz for its lyrical direction and its performances, with many critics noting the quiet electricity between Mescal and Buckley, two of Ireland's most distinctive talents. What's remarkable about this moment in his career is the sense of balance. After somewhat proving he can lead a global blockbuster, Mescal once again chose a story that values feeling over spectacle. In a career built on authenticity, Hamnet feels less like a new chapter and more like a full circle moment. The return of an actor who began in quiet spaces and somehow, even at the height of his fame, still knows how to stay there.
There was a travelling party leaving today and they have a spare horse, so yeah.
And there you have it, the career of Paul Mescal so far, from many small and intimate roles to his blockbuster breakthrough. Now let me ask you, are you excited for Hamnet, and what is your favorite Paul Mescal performance? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more videos like these. I have been Dean, the average movie guy on your screen. Big thanks for watching. See you next time. Roll the credits.